Hi dear students, today's class is going to be small intestinal motility. This is very important because most of the food which we ingest go to the small intestine and it gets absorbed and it gets digested. So shall we go into the class? So small intestine is a convoluted tubule. It extends from the pylorus to the ileocecal valve. Its length is about 6 to 7 meters. It is divided into three parts: the duodenum, jejunum, and the ileum. Importance of the motility of the small intestine is confined that it thoroughly mixes the chyme with the pancreatic bile and intestinal juices, so that this chyme becomes lays a base for the proper digestion and absorption of the essential nutrients. So also this motility propels the food or the chyme into the next part of your GIT tract, that is your colon. So as we saw in other videos, the slow waves are the basic electrical rhythm of the smooth muscles of the intestine as well as your GIT tract. So maximum frequency of the slow waves, which we already saw, differs in different parts of the GIT, and maximum frequency occurs in the intestine. The frequency in the intestine is highest in the duodenum. It is about 15 per minute. It decreases slowly towards the ileum, where it is about 8 to 10 per minute. It is localized to the short segment of the intestine. So it is only confined to a very short segment, and this causes the contraction to be localized to that particular segments. So one type of movement in the small intestine is the segmentation, which is confined to the particular part of the intestine, and this is because of this slow wave activity. So basic electrical rhythm or the slow wave is purely intrinsic. We already looked into it. Action potential is influenced by in turn depends upon the autonomic innervation, activities of the enteric neurons and the circulating hormones. Parasympathetic stimulation enhances and sympathetic stimulation inhibits the intestinal contractility. So movements of the small intestine, which we are going to look into today's classes: segmental contractions, pendular movements, peristalsis, short peristalsis, peristaltic rush, tonic contractions, movement of the villi, contraction of the muscularis mucosa, and migrating motor complex. So three primary functions of the intestinal movement. So what is the function? Why is it happening here? Is because of the mixing of the chyme with the intestinal secretions, to mix the chyme with the intestinal secretions. And so it is a mixing movement, bringing the chyme in contact with the absorptive surface of the microvilli so that it aids in absorption. It propels the food towards the next part, that is your colon. These are three primary functions of your small intestine. So first one is the segmental contractions. This is also called as rhythmic segmental contractions. This is the most common type of contraction that occurs in your small intestine. Closely packed contractions of circular smooth muscles occur here. Section of the small intestine involved is 2 to 3 centimeters. It causes a contraction both in the oral and the caudal directions. Then the contraction relaxes. Then the next segment of the intestine contracts. So alternate contraction and relaxation occurs. This gives a beaded appearance, and this is called as chain of sausages. So segmental contractions are the ones which causes at the segmental region contraction, relaxation, so that there is an alternative phases of contraction and relaxation, and this is very important for the food to get mixed up. So here you can see there is a bolus here, and you have the food particles in it, and it causes a segmental movement. You can see the contraction of a particular part, then contraction of the next part, then the next part, like that, and this causes a crunching of the food. It is getting into a smaller particles. It is sized up to a lower sizes. So here also you can see these are all the segmental contractions. So this is irregularly spaced, weakly spaced contractions. So frequency of these contractions are more in the duodenum than in the ileum, where the pacemaker is also present. The rate is in the duodenum is 12 times per minute, and in the ileum it is 8 per minute. The duration lasts for about 5 to 6 seconds. But the amplitude of the contractions or the strength of the contractions are altered, affecting the pacemaker cells and the slow waves. These are gastrin, cholecystokinin, motilin, insulin, and secretin and glucagon. So there are two types of segmental contractions. One is eccentric contraction and another one is concentric contraction. In eccentric contractions, which involves less than 2 centimeters in length, outer longicular muscles contract. So the outer longicular muscles contract like this. Okay, this is eccentric contraction. Concentric contraction also involves more than 2 centimeters for the length of the segments, intestinal segments, and the inner circular smooth muscles occur. So these contractions are like this. Okay, so you have like this, the circular muscles contracting, the longitudinal muscles contracting. So these are the types of the small intestinal segmental contractions, and we know already the most important basic is the slow waves or the basic electrical rhythm which gives generation to these type of contractions. So what is the function of this segmental contractions is back and forth movement, so that it causes mixing of the chyme. It slows down the transit time. It is not propelling forward. It is at that particular segment it is broken down. So it slows down the transit time. It increases the absorption because the food is coming into contact with the surface of the intestine, so that newer food particles come into, chyme particles come into contact with the surface, so that it gets absorbed, and also it helps in digestion. So here I have shown you about the how this contraction is different from peristalsis. Most important difference is peristalsis is a propulsion. So the contraction is ahead and the bolus is pushed in the caudal direction. So this is peristalsis. But the segmental contractions in the up and down, to and forward and backward. So this is what the segmental contraction is. Second type of contractions which I want to tell you is pendular movements. So pendular movements like a pendulum. So the intestine moves like this, okay, like a pendulum. So these are small constrictive waves. They are forward and backward movement as well as upward and downward movement. Longitudinal muscles and circular muscles contributes to this. As well as the base for these contractions are the slow waves. So in this picture you can see these are the type of contractions, the pendular contractions. It moves forward and backward, the pendular contractions. Also we have the peristalsis here. Not in detail about peristalsis I'm going to talk here, because already we have in the other video we talked much in detail about the peristalsis. But what is that significance in the small intestine we will look. So superimposed over the segmental contractions after digestion and absorption is over, peristalsis occur, because after the mixing is done, after the food is crumbed, we got to move to the next part of your GIT. So peristalsis is the one which propels the food to the next part. So the velocity at which this movement occurs is 0.5 to 2 centimeters per second. Chyme moves at a rate of 1 centimeters per second. It lasts for about 1 to 2 seconds. So it's a travel for the variable distance. It travels for a variable distance and then dies out. Then the new contraction waves begins at a different site. So one part it starts and it moves and it dies. The next part at some other place it starts and it goes and it dies out. So it moves the food forward. So this produces a vermicular movement, a worm-like movements for the time duration of 3 to 5 hours takes place from the pylorus to the ileocecal valve. And we knew about the law of peristalsis. What is law of peristalsis? The food is moved, or the wave of peristalsis moves from the oral to the caudal side, aboral side. So more the ways the peristalsis occur, but the oral side, the peristalsis dies out, and only the aboral side it bursts. This is called as the law of peristalsis. And the mechanism of peristalsis, how it occurs, already we talked. We just have a short recapture of this now. And the enteric nervous system and the serotonin and the distension are the very important stimuli which causes the peristalsis to occur. So here the peristalsis is a series of involuntary wave-like muscle contractions which moves the food along the digestive tract. So here you can see this is the food here. The oral side, the muscle is relaxed and the muscle is contracting, circular muscle is contracting, and the aboral side is relaxing. So like that the movement of the food occurs to the entire GIT tract. So here some idea about the mechanism of peristaltic contractions. So you have the retrograde neurons and the anterograde neurons, and which secretes your VIP, nitric oxide, acetylcholine, and substance P. These are the ones which will contract the circular muscles when the food is there ahead of the food, okay? And the VIP and the nitric oxide relaxes the contraction muscles in the aboral side. So in detail about this we talked in the other video, so I am going to the next part. So as already we knew, this peristalsis is influenced by the neuronal and hormonal factors. The neuronal factors includes the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. Parasympathetic system increases and sympathetic system decreases the motility. Hormones, gastrin, CCK, 5-hydroxytryptamine, thyroxine, insulin, secretin, glucagon influences. So what is the function of this peristalsis? We know it propels the food to the next part of your GIT tract. So the propulsion, digestion and absorption occurs because of this peristalsis. Next one what we are going to see is short range peristalsis. This occurs very less frequently. Very shorter part of the intestine is involved here. Along with segmentation contraction, it decreases the transition time. So when you apply codeine, it decreases the peristalsis. This shows that there is an influence of the drugs here, and laxative increases the transit time. So another term I want to tell you here, or another movement, which is peristaltic rush. Usually this occurs in the pathological situations like diarrhea. These are very powerful peristaltic contractions when there is irritants in the intestine or there is infections of the intestine. This occurs. So it starts from the duodenum or the ileum. It's a forceful contraction pushing the food forward and sweeps the content, and it empties into the colon. This is initiated by both the enteric nervous system and the intrinsic nervous system. And this occurs at a speed of 20 centimeters per second, and this is emptied into your colon. So next one is the tonic contractions. So this is a variant of segmental contractions similar to the segmental contractions, but it occurs at a prolonged period. So tonic is, it contracts like this and lasts for a longer time. This is called as prolonged contractions. So isolate one segment to the another. So this what is the function of this is to cause a longer contact and absorption of the chyme when it is present in your small intestine. Next one is the movement of your villi or your microvilli. We know that intestine is made up of microvilli, and the movement of the villi are moves like this. Okay, this is called as villus movement. Okay, so already shortening and elongation of the movement. This causes the cause for this is local factors as well as ENP, as well as there is a villikinin, which is a local hormone which can cause this movement of your villi. Functions is it empties the lacteals, it causes increased surface area for the absorption, it increases the intestinal lymph flow too. Next one is the contraction of your muscularis mucosa. So what happens is the muscularis mucosa also causes irregular contraction of the mucosal fold. Okay, so this is occurring at the rate of 3 per minute. The function is for mixing, bringing the fresh chyme in contact with the surface. So it mixes and it revolves, it mixes and revolves, and that is the contraction of your muscularis mucosa. So last one is about the migrating motor complex. This also we already talked, but I want to tell you what it is. It is an interdigestive phase motility which occurs in between after the food is taken up. So in between period, digestive period it occurs. It occurs every 90 minutes and sweeps off the food, okay, to the next part, so the entire part, so that the GIT tract will be ready to receive the next food. So this occurs for about 10 minutes, and every 90 minutes it recurs. So this is about migrating motor complex. So last but not the least, we will look into the functions of the ileocecal sphincter or the ileocecal valve. This is the valve which separates the terminal part of the ileum from the cecum. It is always normally tonically contracted. The sphincter remains closed, prevents small intestinal emptying. When the peristaltic wave reaches the terminal part of the ileum, then the sphincter relaxes so that the ileal contents enters into the cecum. So distension of the ileum causes opening of the sphincter. Distension of the cecum causes closure of the sphincter. This sphincter is influenced by your extrinsic nerve. So relaxation of the sphincter is by the vagal stimulation, which is the base for the gastroileal reflex. So now we will look into intestinal reflexes. Some of the reflexes which you got to know is, one is the peristaltic reflex, two is the gastroileal reflex, gastrocolic reflex, enterogastric reflex, intestinal reflex, and duodenocolic reflex. Already we know about the peristaltic reflex, which is occurring in the entire GIT tract. We know about it. So now we will go into the other reflexes. So what is gastroileal reflex? After taking meals, there is distension of your stomach. So there is peristaltic contraction. The stomach is filled up with food. There is peristaltic contractions of the stomach. So when that is occurring, the information through the vagus and because of the gastrin goes to the ileum, and here it causes relaxation of the ileocecal sphincter so that the food empties from the intestine into the colon. So this is called as gastroileal reflex. the gastric distension causes a emptying of the small intestinal contents to the colon, mediated by your vagus and your gastrin. So here, gastric filling causes emptying of the small intestine. This is gastroileal reflex. Now, what is gastrocolic reflex? So when there is a distension or the food in the stomach, and when it's filled up with the food, okay, when the food is taken into the stomach, it causes information, it gives information to the colon to empty it. So that is called as gastrocolic reflex. Next one is enterogastric reflex. So what is this? The information is going from the intestine to the stomach, and it causes a alteration in the activity of the stomach. What is the alteration? So if there is distension of the duodenum, so the duodenum is here, if there is a duodenum is very much loaded up, okay, so what this causes is, it doesn't want the stomach to empty further into the duodenum, because the duodenal contents should go to the next part of your GIT tract. So distension of the duodenum decreases the contractions of your stomach, particularly the antral contractions, so that gastric emptying is delayed. So this is called as enterogastric reflex. So now we will look into intestinal reflex. What happens here is, when there is over distension in one part of your intestine, it causes the relaxation of the other part of your other segments of your intestine. This is called as intestinal reflex. So in the intestine itself, the one segment is over distended, the other segment relaxes. This is called as intestinal reflex. What is duodenocolic reflex? If there is a high tension in the duodenal wall, there is a distension or a stretch in the duodenal wall, this causes increase in movement of your colon. This is called as duodenocolic reflex. Thank you for patient listening. If you want to know more about this, you go into the next other videos where the peristalsis is dealt in detail, and also migrating motor complex is dealt in detail. Thank you.